I did a poll last week on LinkedIn. I'll just bring it up on here. So it was most HR efforts fail. And really, I was very intrigued about how the HR community really felt about, how much success they were really having. And it kind of linked a little bit to this because I always feel that if you can show the commercial benefit of what you're doing, then actually, why should anything fail that we're doing? So, but anyway, I'll bring up the results again. So you can see there we had 37% said true, 63% said false. Now, obviously, it's very hard to say true because it's almost a little bit critical of yourself and your peers and the profession that you're in as well. So I'm just wondering, in terms of what your thoughts are about that. Are you surprised that there is 37% that feel that, or what's your take on it? Does anyone would like to come in and give us your thoughts?
I would say it's laudable that 63% would state that most efforts do not fail, because if you don't believe in the efforts you start, then why have you started at all? In hindsight, and this, Leon, I'm only going to say to you after 36 years of collecting the scars on my back of the stupid mistakes I made, I think very many HR efforts don't fail because we make up the story, but do fail because we have not been able to establish a line of sight with company performance. And at the end of the day, given decency, given dignity, and giving regulations you have to obey, all that counts is, does an initiative make this company a better company? And from that perspective, I have to very humbly say that very often my own initiatives failed, even if I was always able to make a great story of it. So that's my double answer, my double first thoughts on the statement.
Mm-hmm. I mean, my take, I suppose, would be, I think most HR initiatives, programs, activity, they sort of never quite succeed and they never quite fail. I think we end up partly succeeding, and that's one of the great difficulties with HR activity, is there is no definitive success or failure, because the line of sight to company performance, as Henning said, is, you can draw the line. I mean, I use customer service profit chain. I use lots of, tying soft metrics to hard metrics and all of that stuff. So there's lots of things we can do to demonstrate the value and the difference we're making. But if you really put the sort of progressive side of HR under a microscope, the stuff about investing in people, coaching, developing people, creating a learning environment, creating great teams, what we try and do is we do it through others. So it is about, how do we empower people? How do we develop those skills? How do we create leaders and managers that are good at that? And so to some extent, the way I always see HR is like an organizational coach. You're not really running the race. The people management stuff's not really done by you. It's done by leaders and managers within your organization. Your job is to coach, develop, give them the tools, get them to see what has an impact, show them the difference between good, average, and poor. And the more that you think of yourself as a coach, I think, and mapping out plans and reviewing performance, and I think the better we are, the more I think that we see ourselves driving stuff. We tend to go back to transactional HR and worry about policies and procedures, and that doesn't add value. I think that one of the great things about HR is our major tool is about creating processes and systems, and that's not what creates the value. It's how those things are utilized by managers and leaders that create the value.
Yeah, I like the thinking. Probably there is also, I think, Kevin, a little sort of false modesty we have. So I like your point about seeing ourselves as coaches. If we would be able to redefine ourselves as co-leaders of this business, then we might get more focused on what we really want to deliver. Since intentionally, everything you mentioned and all the issues we know of, they're not bad at all. You can see how the thinking is not bad, but there is something in and I'm generalizing a lot now, there is something in our professional attitude that, as laudable as it may be in itself, it explains why we don't get the results, because we sort of fail or do not dare to take the prominence that is needed to get those results.
I think it's I like this Kevin, your point on, it's hard to say. It's very often we don't fail and we don't succeed. So it's in the middle. And that is, I think, a strong indication for, we really don't know what the goal is. We can describe the goal and anecdotally can prove progress, but we can't measure. And that's I think that's often a problem. In my work in the HR space and in my consulting life was very much, I mean, the 37% would be very much on the positive side from what I have seen. I have been working with large organizations doing HR transformations. So that is all as we all know, it's the heavy lifting of process and service design and automation and harmonization and what have you, standardization. All these programs, from my perspective, and I've seen a few more modern and more advanced approaches to it, but the standard HR transformation was almost doomed to fail, because it was probably something like the aftermarket of McKinsey that left the CHRO with a 20% cost target, and that always came out of a benchmarking exercise. So each benchmarking exercise left a company with a 20% cost target, which is interesting in itself. And then HR had to do this, and this was such a heavyweight thing. It took years, cost a lot of money and frustration for everyone. And that part that I had visibility into, I think the failure rate was higher than 37%, way higher. It was good for me. I was a consultant, so I earned a lot of money with my company with it, but not always good for the reputation for HR. And it made it much, much harder for after the fact of an HR transformation to come back and say, now I have a model in place, how I can prove business impact or the line of sight to company performance, as you put it, Hein. And therefore, I like your way of doing that, Hein, of actually finding out the very few spots of value creation and concentrate on those. That is, I think, I like it. It's progress for the function.
In general, I would say there is an organizational dynamics. In general, never drive focus, never foster focus. There is this perennial temptation because people wish to matter, and that's a great thing. There is this plethora of initiatives people ready behind, and if as a CEO you would wish to focus on a few priorities, you'd probably be faced with a company-wide conspiracy against, and it's so difficult. And I get the difficulty. I've been trying and failing very often over the past years. But the point is we are inclined to take on a lot because we all are often very high on energy and not always very high on focus. And that will hold for other professions as well. That I don't think this is unique to HR, but I would think that an ability or a pressure to really focus on what matters would increase greatly the probability of the impact of our efforts.